you've even said it yourself, if it's not, if you can't make a meal of it, it's questionable whether it's human food. So what are your thoughts on garlic and spice?
Well, if we start with the question, if you can't make a meal of it, we can go into specifics from there. It's always nice to start with a concept. I use a variety of concepts to express to people a rationale for questioning or perhaps answering the question, is this fit food for humans? Is this the ideal food for humans? The ideal food for humans is going to vary at different times. There's times when you need more water in your food and a banana is going to be too dry. There's times where you need more sugar in your food and citrus or melon or other really juicy fruits are going to be too wet for the amount of sugar they provide. There's times where what you really need is a flavor more than you need the carbohydrates or more than you even need the water, and you want to eat something like a longan or mangosteen or something that just gives you brilliant flavor, but it's not really providing a lot of calories, it's not providing a lot of water, but it is a pleasure to eat. Certainly using vegetables for part of this equation is a big part of the answer as well, and there's times where you want more volume but you don't want more calories, and so you choose vegetables as a way of bulking up the size of what you eat without even thinking about, well, is this the nutrient thing that I need? Oh, I'm eating them for their minerals. I don't really go that way so much as how much volume do I want to eat, and how many, not even how many calories, but how long do I want this meal to last me until my next meal. I don't have to do calorie math really. So I use a lot of different guidelines to exemplify the basic premise that if it's not a nurturing food, then it's probably not something I should be eating right at the moment. Maybe something that's nurturing now might not be later because my needs have changed a bit. So the idea of, would I give it to a baby? Is this really a nurturing thing? Does it supply all my water needs? Well, as I just expressed, my water needs change throughout the day. There's times where I might eat something now that I wouldn't eat later, or later that I wouldn't eat now. Can I make a meal of this food? Well, I've made meals of cilantro coming out of my garden when I didn't need calories and I was hungry for something to eat and I needed it to hold me for an hour or two until I finished doing what I was doing in the garden and could go home and get something a little more calorie dense. So I'm going to play with the flexibility and understanding the nuances. We give people rules and they want to follow the rules, and I don't tend to do that. I'm going to give people some guidelines and suggestions and explain the concepts well enough so that you can understand the nuances and the freedoms and the flexibilities and the segues and the various options that are available to be able to eat a wide variety of foods without feeling restricted, with allowing for the fact that at different times you may well need different things.
But no one will ever need garlic or spices, right?
Exactly. No one ever needs.
So if they want
stimulants, irritants, or toxic agents in order to make their food palatable. Okay, the food is certainly going to be palatable. But if what you want to make is an 80-10-10 version of French onion soup, it's going to be tough to do it without any onions at all. Okay, if what you want to make to go along with some traditional meal that you've created is da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da plus a little piece of garlic bread to go with the meal because it It's called for in the whole bigger plan of things. And you make something that's got 3 or 4 bites of garlic bread taste to it and serve it to your guests. I mean, I think you're well within your rights, because it's really hard to make garlic bread without garlic. And I think the thing to understand is the difference between what we do all the time, day in, day out. This is my go-to food. This is my, what do they call it? My meat and potatoes, you know. This is my staple food. This is my rice and beans if I lived in Costa Rica. This is the food that I'm just eating all the time, okay? For me, it's bananas, it's lettuce and cucumbers and celery. I'm eating mangoes a lot. I'm eating oranges a lot. I mean, if you saw how many we go through more than 100 cases of oranges every single year in my house. For me and my wife, we go through more than 100 cases a year. We go through more than 100 cases of bananas a year. We go through roughly 50 to 80 mangoes a week in our house. I mean, we eat a lot of those 3 foods. Fine. If I want to create some dish that has a traditional flavor, then there's no other way to do it except to go out to the garden and once a year or twice a year pick the tops off of some chives and put it into my salad. I mean, I'm really just not going to get worried about it. If I can't eat a salad without chives and still be happy, if I have to have onions in everything I make, or it has no taste, if everything has to be, my body reeks of garlic because I've been eating so much, I mean, that's a whole other experience, okay? You hear people say it has no taste without salt, or it has no taste without garlic, or it has to be, I have to put vinegar on my salad. What would it be without vinegar? This is a different approach entirely to, hey, I'm making something, I want it to come out as realistic as possible. It's tough. I don't know a pea soup recipe that doesn't include peas. I mean, it kind of has to have peas. I do know some hummus recipes that don't have garbanzo beans in them. Okay, we can get around some things, but the ones you can't get around and you still need it, I think it's just a big difference between always, 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 never, 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 and what you determine as sometimes. For me, sometimes once or twice a year, I mean, I've gone decades without eating mushrooms, but I've also had mushrooms 2 days in a row one time. Woo woo, I mean, is it the end of the world? No, it's not even that they're bad for you. It's just, I don't tend to eat a lot of mushrooms. But if I do, it's not the end of the world. And it doesn't mean I've compromised my lifestyle to a point of it being unacceptable. 80-10-10 is way more flexible than most people give it credit for.
Perhaps you're just starting a raw food diet, and you're looking for tips and recipes to succeed. Or maybe you're an athlete looking to reach new levels in your pursuit of fitness. Or if your goal is simply to experience the highest expression of your health. It's simple. 80-10-10 is the answer. It's your guide to looking, feeling, and performing your best. Visit foodandsport.com now and pick up your free gift, which will have you on your way to understanding and using the 80-10-10 diet.